Ever heard of Sri Lanka? I have, yeah. I know I know where every country is on the map. Can you imagine? Where's the city of Atlantis? Well. If I had to take a guess, I would assume it's in the Atlantic Ocean, but just a thought. My name's Jollz. I'm a Radiant player. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe, considering 80% of you guys are still not subscribed. I do these coaching sessions live, so you're more than welcome to swing by the stream and ask questions. If you're interested in coaching yourself, click the link in the description. Click the book a lesson button and select your plan and time. Lastly, if you want a chance to win free coaching, be sure to comment down below your Discord name and why you think you deserve it. I'll be picking out a person randomly. Other than that, enjoy the video. I was Iron 3. This is an Iron 3 VOD review. Who's excited? Okay, so let's read the lore. In this game, I was Iron 3, and this was my rank up game. One of the things I'm aware of is the lack of game sense. All right. Communication is lacking because I'm always afraid of misogynistic teammates. Okay, that's fair. There's a lot of them in Valorant, unfortunately. I feel like women play this game on hard mode. They play video games in general in hard mode because they deal with a lot of shit that us guys don't have to deal with. A lot of toxic people. People will throw games because you're a woman. It's cringe. It's like, dude, I will never understand it. I cannot wrap my head around it. It sucks. You guys have my sympathy. You truly do. I know I get a lot of questions asked. Hey, Joel, so how do I deal with like toxic people if they're... I would just say mute them. What you could do is like you can continue calming, but have them muted. So you don't even have to hear what they have to say. And I do that, right? Sometimes I mute my entire team. I'll still calm, but I don't need their comms to play. All right, we went with the armor. Armor and the orb and this snake bite. It's goodbye. You can do that.
They're blind with fear.
Good trade. Okay, I think we dip here. We can pick up the gun. All right. I wouldn't continue pushing though. Yep. All right. So we ran into our first mistake. We did get the trade, but then they understood where we were. I wouldn't continue going. We're a little bit low. They're gonna trade us, right? Respects women so much he won't go near one. Let me see what happened here. So we threw this wall. Actually, I don't mind this wall. This retake wall is pretty good because it separates the site and you guys can retake together. That's an interesting one. I usually see them throwing it at the start, so I'm going to go ahead and mention that. Now, don't get me wrong. Retake walls are really good. I just would not really recommend an Iron 3 player to start experimenting with retake walls, if that makes sense. I think it's safer to just kind of give them, hey, you should be walling like this at the start of every round. And then once they start getting in higher ranks, then they can start messing around with retake walls.
Spike down.
Okay, so crosshair placement is a big one.
Reloading.
Okay. A nice shot. So make sure like when we're turning and then going W, we can hold our strafe key around the corner, right? After we get the kill. Right after this kill, we're still out in the open a little bit too long and allowed them enough time to trade. If we were to reposition immediately, I think the play would have been good. Okay, a little scary taking this fight here. Okay, so there's a lot of fundamental issues here, whereas like we're kind of dry peeking where we're playing Viper and we're the only one on B site. We kind of just gave up B site here for free. What's dry peeking? So dry peeking is basically you're peeking without any sort of utility to back you up. So like a flash, for example, right? You usually want to throw a flash if you're going to peek like this, but I would never recommend Vipers to play like this. This is something like a Jet would do or a Reyna would do. But when you're playing aggressive like this is more for duelist. As a controller and Viper, you want to play a bit more passive and stay alive. You bring the most value to your team when you're alive. So by staying alive, you can activate your walls, your smoke orbs, you have snake bites that other agents can't really utilize, right? In super high elo, is it stupid to do stupid stuff to mind trick the opponents because they think, for example, we're gonna reposition but you don't? Yeah, sometimes. There's a lot of meta in that, but I would not recommend it unless you are like playing against really good people that you know. But that's why, for example, that's why the pop and swing works in high elo. The pop and swing works because people are not used to something like that. So the pop and I'd have to show you in a game, but basically they just strafe and they don't stop strafing, and it catches people off guard because you'd expect them to stop. It's like an ultra wide swing. Yeah. Okay, we get our ults. Oh, we're popping. Ah. So this is a good play. I would have ulted instantly though. Great ult. I would use it instantly if you can at the start of the round. So the reason why you want to use it instantly at the start of the round is so you don't get timing. There's a window here where you pop your ults and they just charge you down before your ult actually comes out, and they can take advantage of you here, right? But if you use it early, the radius of where you could be located starts getting bigger and bigger, and it's harder for them to find you. If they don't come to your site when you ult, that's fine, because you just tell your team to stack to the other one. So here I would have 2 people on B max, or A max, sorry. You ulting short, 1 person watching showers, and then you play 3 towards B. And that way it lets your team kind of stack the other site when you ulted on the... But we are so booked on coaching, like I don't know what to do.
Spike planted.
It's a little scary because I don't know what I'm gonna be doing. Oh, make sure we're clearing our corners. There's a guy behind us. Ooh, we ran right by a guy. All right. So one thing we want to do as controllers, and Viper especially, we want to be playing behind our utility. So it should never be like, you know, the enemy is right here and I'm fighting the enemy. It should be the enemy's trying to push in, but I have my smoke orb here and I'm playing behind it. So basically you want to put your utility in between you and the enemy. And this way you get as much advantages as you possibly can, instead of taking these like just regular gunfights that you would be taking, right? Is it ever worth to peek for info? Yeah, but it's really hard to in this instance because you can get punished very easily. So here I would have thrown a smoke orb, snake bite. See, we're just kind of like pushing into them. So we should be like not doing this and avoiding like peeking into multiple people. Tomorrow we will be playing controller. It's rad. Yeah. Okay, so using this wall. Okay, before we use our walls, one thing that we need to take into account is like, what is our wall necessarily doing, right? Is it like, are we stopping them from pushing into a choke? That's ideally what the wall needs to be doing. But we are kind of just cutting it down the middle, and they can kind of run through this without a care, right? So it's better to cut off a choke point than it is to like have like 2 openings in the choke point, if that makes sense. We should throw our walls like maybe like it cuts bathroom and short, or maybe one that gets hookah and long, right? What's a choke point? Basically a point where it's very crowded when they're coming out. So that's a good question actually. What is a choke point? Choke point would be like this, right? You see this little window in hookah? This is a choke point. Why? Because outside the hookah in general, it's like a window into the site, right? This hookah is actually the window into the site. Another one would be long. It's like the long you know, garden. This is another window into the site. So these are choke points. That's why people smoke it, like a main entrance. Yeah, exactly, like a main an entrance into the site. This is why you see a lot of people smoking off these choke points. Hookah, long. Why is it good to smoke the choke point rather than smoking long? Well, let's say we throw a smoke here and we stop them from pushing through here. Okay, well, what's to stop them from coming this way? The smoke does nothing. Basically, like there's no other way around the smoke if we throw it here. But if we throw it like here, it's like, well, they have all sort of control already in sight.
Planted.
So you see our crosshair placement? Aim head level, head level, head level. Nice kill though. So now I'd wait for my team here. It's a 3v2. Oh, we're exposed here, right? You see this? You saw how we were initially, like we walk up here and we're fully exposed. You could probably throw a smoke orb to go grab the gun, but just be careful with being exposed in angles when we're not looking at them. Oh, okay. So this was a little panicking, right? We are noticing that the neon is running and gunning. So we are trying to mimic the running and gunning. You know what I mean? I get it. It's the Joel swing, right? You try to implement the Joel swing on him. It's all good. I get it. I get it. Step 1 is the panic. Step 2 is the win. Good ult. It's good ult, actually. We need to get the bomb, though.
Spike down A.
So I'd throw my smoke orb maybe coming out of this.
One enemy remaining.
I have the spike.
U-Haul. Okay, Reina's popping. Oh, timing's insane here. Oh. We had a good timing, though.
One enemy remaining.
Let's go.
Attack.
What did Astronomical Monarch do well in the session? All right. So one thing I think you did pretty well, you decided to try and position yourself in a way where you can trade off of your teammates really well, right? Like if your teammates were fighting, you were looking to kind of swing and get that trade kill. Really good to do. Very, very good habit to form. So the 3 things that I would really recommend would be your utility usage, right? You want to put your utility between you and the enemy, so then they are forced to push through your utility, and then you get the advantage that way. Another thing too is what did I say? Shit. All right, so the top 3 things that I think you should work on is crosshair placement. So crosshair placement should always be head level. We should always be ready for an enemy to be peeking into us, and you know, by having your crosshair head level, you're ready for that fight. Another thing, we're exposing ourselves to too many angles. A lot of time we're kind of just running out in the open, and we're exposed from a lot of different areas. So we want to be making sure that we're looking at the area where we're exposed from, or limit the amount of angles that we're exposed from. Another thing would be utility usage. You want to separate you and the enemy with your utility. Force them to push through your utility, right? Like your smoke orb, your walls. That way you get as much advantage as you can. And staying alive is like a big thing on defensive side as Viper. The longer you're alive, the more your team can utilize your utility. All right, what should we work on our next session? So for the next session, I would definitely start to take a look at overall gun control, making sure that we understand, like, you know, spraying, shooting. We should be standing still when we're shooting. And then we can get into like bursting, strafing, and really like diving deep into utility and how to effectively use utility and where we should be positioning on defensive side and stuff.